What's going on, party people and barbecue freaks? It's Marcus Frisbee, back with another episode on the Meet and Greet channel. It is like 100 degrees and the brisket is like cooking on the butcher block as we speak. So here's what's going down today. I'm gonna do a brisket on the Traeger. I have never done a brisket on a Traeger, and I have equally never had so many people ask me to do a brisket on a Traeger. So guys, I'm stoked. There is a time in every backyard warrior's life when you just wake up and you make the mental decision that you're not running a fire today. It's not happening. But you simultaneously also know that you want brisket, and so what do? You're in an odd fork in the road. Well, you grab a pellet grill. Pellet grill? Yeah, grab a pellet grill, Traeger in this case, and you throw a brisket on the Traeger. You turn that little dial to 275 and you cook your brisket and you please the crowd. Okay, so that's what we have. This brisket is trimmed. Guys, if you want to learn how to trim a brisket, I have multiple videos up to and including a 2-hour masterclass on how to trim and cook brisket. So if you want to go into barbecue nerdville on how to trim a brisket, I got you covered. Go back in the channel, I'll link it. Watch that video after this. You're in no rush. We're gonna get this seasoned. We're gonna get it on the pellet grill. We're gonna roll it low and slow. So hang out. We appreciate you around old Meet and Greet. The seasoning, very simple. I ran out of my preferred binder, which is 50-50 pickle juice and mustard. So I just have some water here in a spray bottle. I got some 16 mesh ground black pepper. And of course, we got brisket booster. Family, there's 101 ways to season a brisket. This isn't the end all be all. This is just my method. And to be honest with you guys, I change it and tweak it almost every single time I cook brisket because, well, I sell my own rub and so I'm always testing stuff. When I am doing something new in barbecue, I like to keep the seasoning as simple as humanly possible just so that I can taste the core essence of what's happening. So for today, because I'm cooking a brisket on a Traeger for the first time and I've never done that, I'm just gonna go 16 mesh ground black pepper, and then I'm just gonna add my brisket booster, and I'm gonna add like a lot of brisket booster. You can buy this online, we sell this, we ship it. The family's hands touch every single product that leaves this place. And so if you wanna support, feel free to grab brisket booster, but this is exactly what the name says. It just boosts the flavor of brisket. So I'm gonna go 16 mesh ground black pepper. And on the bottom side, guys, I'm not gonna go super crazy, but you know, I wanna get enough to know that it's there. And then I'm not gonna waste my brisket booster on the bottom side, but I'm gonna add enough again just to know that it's there. Nothing crazy. The top side is where all the magic happens. All right, spray the top with our water and let the games begin. On the top, I'm going to lay this pepper on there. I want a lot for this cook. Sometimes I do less pepper, but today I'm feeling peppery. As I say in all my videos, if you're not seasoning at the tip of your forehead, you're just not high enough. Now, a lot of folks will drop in my comments and say, you didn't season the sides. You need to season the sides. You don't know what you're doing. I'll say this, maybe I don't. Maybe you're right and I'm wrong. But I will say that I've cooked a lot of brisket and very rarely do I season the sides. I just don't. It's just not something that I do. I do season the sides where I get my my burn-in quotes, air quotes, my burn-in slices. But as far as like down in here in the lean, I just don't do it. I just lay the brisket booster on nice and heavy, and wherever it hits the sides, it hits. But I am just going to get a whole lot of booster on this. And I'm gonna go back one more pass. Okay, now let me say this because it's really important. Brisket booster is salty. This is salty and it's full of garlic powder and onion powder and celery seed and a proprietary mixture that gives you some extra umami boost. So it's got a lot in here. As you saw, I did not add kosher salt. I have other videos where I add kosher salt. Let me tell you guys this. For this cook, I want the beef to shine through. I don't want it to be a super duper salty brisket, although I do make those and they're great in their own regard. Today, I want the beef to shine through. So I did, as you saw, 16 mesh ground black pepper, a bunch of brisket booster, and no extra salt. It's possible to make this brisket saltier if you want it, and I like that sometimes. If you want it saltier, add kosher salt, but do this combination. Do 25% kosher salt, 75% brisket booster. That's the combination that I found that I love if I want to make a nice, real salty brisket. Now I'm just going to spray this in just to activate and hydrate these seasonings and help them to bond to the surface of the fat cap. The play here is simple, guys. I'm just going to get this brisket on the Traeger at 275. I'm going to jump right into 275. Now, the Traeger is going to do its thing. It's going to warm up and come to temp, and it's going to pump out a bunch of smoke while it does that. I want my brisket in there. Any extra bit of smoke that we can get, that's a win for Old Frisbee. So I'm just going to get this right on the pit, turn the dial to 275, and we're just going to jump right into the cook. Brisket's on the Traeger. I just put it right on the first rack. The Traeger has those different levels, but I'm just going to put it right on this main center rack right in the middle. We're just going to run 275, nothing crazy. At about the 3.5, 4 hour mark, I'll pop the hood for the first time, see how it's looking. At that point, if you're a temperature gauge, leave-in gauge kind of guy or gal, that would be the point in which I would maybe put a leave-in just to monitor the temps. But for the first 3 to 4 hours, don't worry about it. 275, set it, literally forget it, walk away, and check it in 4 hours. So that's what we'll do. I'll see you guys back then. And I know someone's going to ask, what kind of pellets are you using? The answer is I have no idea. I couldn't even tell you. But I'll tell you now. That's, I don't know. maybe oak, mesquite, something or another. Huh?
Signature.
Oh, actually, my wife informed me that it says signature. So, smells like the signature pellets. That's what we got going down. So I'm going to add these to the hopper, get this puppy on and running, and I'll see you guys back in 4 hours. Back at the Traeger, my brothers and sisters are barbecued. It's been 5 hours, so we might have got sidetracked. It's okay. I plan on checking in 4 hours, but it's 5 hours, and we're gonna pop the dome on this thing. I have some 50-50 apple cider vinegar and water that we'll just hit the top of this brisket with if we need. But let's pop the dome. Let's take a look at it, 5 hour check, and see how we're going. I am legitimately blown away. I really am. I'm not just saying this. That bark is set in there. I mean, that bark is seriously set. We get a little bit of pepper coming off, which isn't that big of a deal. That would be normal on an offset smoker. Thanks to the trim job, we don't have any crazy pulling. The edges aren't really burning. We're getting good fat render. I'm blown away, guys. I am going to hit this with a little bit of moisture. Mostly these edges around the lean. And then we're going to be done hydrating it. We're just going to let this bark really set. Now, if I'm cooking brisket on my 500 gallon or my 1,000 gallon smoker, really any offset, because of the convection and the way that an offset smoker works, I typically at the 5-ish hour mark, I'll use some foil that I'll show you in a second, and I'll tint the ends of the brisket. I don't know. It's my first brisket on a Traeger, so I don't know if the convection is the same. I mean, I would assume it's not really the same, but my point is I don't want my ends to burn the same way that it would on an offset. So I'm just going to, at this point in time, put some foil on the point and the lean. I'll show you here in a quick second. Put some foil on it, and that's just going to protect our ends. It's very easy to dry the end of the lean out. It's a lot harder to do it on the point, but it's very easy to dry it out, and the foil is just an extra barrier to trap a little moisture and deflect some of that heat that would be absorbed by the lean more specifically. The foil is just an extra barrier. So let's get a little foil on it, and we'll just let it roll for another couple hours. We'll check in then. All right, let's close the lid back down. We'll check back in about 3-ish hours. And for my temp freaks out there who are wondering where the temp's at, right where the point meets the flat, We're temping 170. Holy moly. That thing would be ready to wrap if I was wrapping this with butcher paper. Wow. That's crazy. At 170, it doesn't really have the give that I'm used to, but Thermopin never lies. So we're temping 173 right in the middle where I would pull this temp. What that means for me is we got like a couple hours left on this thing. This thing's almost done. That's crazy. Now I have two options. I could wrap this in butcher paper at this point. I am a big I'm not even an advocate. I am like religiously preaching wrap your brisket in butcher paper after the stall. After the stall for me is like 170 to 175. That's right out of the stall. This is the perfect time to wrap in butcher paper if that was your MO. For me, I'm just gonna let it roll, and we'll check back in a couple hours. 7 hours and 15 minutes into the world's easiest brisket cook, and we're done. I mean, truly, we're done. And I'm not trying to sound like an infomercial for Traeger. I'm really not. It's just, it really was the easiest brisket cook that I've ever done. The brisket cooked, like I said, for 7 hours. We got the brisket on at 11:15. It's currently 6:30 in the evening. I've checked this thing less than 4 times. Spritzed it with the apple cider vinegar and water, made sure that it wasn't burning, put the foil on the ends, and that was about it. Let's open this Traeger up. Let's pull some temperatures. I mean, I already temped it to make sure it was done, but I want to show you guys kind of what I'm looking for to make sure that a brisket is actually done. So let's look at it, and then we'll get it off, we'll wrap it up, and we'll finish it out. We'll talk about that in a second. Look at this, guys. I am pleasantly surprised. Let's quickly talk through what I'm looking for to deem a brisket done, and then let's get it wrapped up. So first and foremost, I want to look at the bark. The bark is a nice, brighter mahogany. It doesn't have that like meteoric, is that a word? That's a word. It doesn't look like that meteor alien barky darkness that you would get on an offset smoker per se, but I'll take this. This looks fine. I've had this on a shutdown cycle inside of this Traeger for, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. So to pull a temp, 202 right in the middle and 204 right in the heart of the point. And that's all I need to check. I will tell you guys this, when I'm feeling a brisket like underneath, I can just feel it. This is way more firm than I'd want. I don't really know how to troubleshoot that on a Traeger, and not yet, only because I can't really control the convection inside of this. That's a conversation for a different day. I'm just telling you, I'm almost certain that on the block, this slice right here is going to be pretty dry. I think as we move closer into the point, we should get some moisture retention, but just feeling this, it's not feeling as pliable as I want underneath, but as I get closer and closer to the point, it gets softer and softer. So I can show you guys underneath. It's not, I don't think this is really burnt. It has kind of a beef jerky-y texture, but I'll show you how we finish this out. This is going to soften up. I don't think this will be too much of a problem on the chopping block, but you can see as I poke in, it's a little firmer. And then down in here, it's really firm, but up in here, I don't know if you guys can see that on the camera, it's really pillowy. So that's what you would want ideally through the entire brisket, but we'll take it. This is going to be a super fun, kind of immersive learning experience for all of us. So I would rather, I mean, at temp 202, 203, we saw that. In a perfect world, if I was doing a pop-up or doing a big event and I had to serve my best brisket, I would probably keep cooking this. I'm not a temperature guy. I'm a feel guy. And in the feel, it's just not totally there. However, I know from making a brisket or two, I know that this will be a really good example for you guys at home to learn from. And then also I'm going to learn, cooking on this Traeger. So I'm going to pull it. I'll call it done. If the lean's a little dry, then the lean's going to have to be a little dry. But let's get this on the block. I'll show you how I wrap it, and then we'll get in the warmer. So guys, I was talking to my wife behind the camera, and I was going back and forth. I was like, do I want to finish this out and have like this incredible product on the video tomorrow, or do I want to leave it as is and we'll just keep it? I'll be honest with you guys. I'm going to leave this as is because this is arguably one of the greatest examples that I could ever have to teach you truly what it looks like to have half of your brisket done and the other half not done. So, and again, this has been sitting at ambient temperatures for a little bit, but it hasn't dropped too much. I don't know if you guys can see this, but I have to force this gauge in there. It's reading 184 degrees. That is not done. However, in the point, it's like butter and it's reading 203. That's done. I'll go in the middle, 201, sitting at 201. So we're just in a really interesting scenario. Do we keep and preserve the point, or do we push the lean and then start to dry out and overcook the point? Here's how I make these decisions. I'm going to preserve the point. If the lean's too bad, then this is just going to be your chopped brisket. That's life. If the lean's too bad, and we'll get some really good point slices. But yeah, guys, it doesn't totally have the jiggle that we're looking for, but that's okay. I'm going to get this in the foil. I'll show you guys in a second. I'm actually going to put this directly into my warmer. I'm not going to let this come down to 145-ish degrees like I normally do. I'm going to put this directly in my warmer because I know that it's a little underdone, and I'm going to hope that this thing's going to carry and tenderize itself just a little bit. Once we get to the warmer, I'll show you what I'm talking about, but let's get this wrapped up. I don't want it to cool off too much, and then we'll get in the warmer. I have a pot here with beef tallow. Just been rendering beef tallow all day, and I'm going to pull some of this tallow out, and what I'll do is I'm just going to pour this around the edges. It really doesn't need anything crazy. I'm just going to give it some moisture. I'm not going to pour it over the top of the brisket because it's going to settle and pool up and kind of wash our bark out. So I'm just hitting the edges. That's a complete brisket. I'll meet you guys down at the warmer. We'll talk about kind of my methodology behind resting brisket, and then I'll see you guys in the morning. Yes, in the morning. I'm going to eat brisket on a Sunday morning. It's hard to beat that. See you guys at the warmer. It is exactly 7:17 on the dot. I'm gonna get this brisket in the warmer, and I'll see you guys back in the morning. And we're gonna have a super cool learning experiment. I'm excited for this. I think there's no bet. This is how I learned brisket, guys. This right here, what you're seeing, this is how I learned how to cook briskets consistently. So if you're like for learning brisket and being okay with messing some stuff up, I think tomorrow is gonna be super cool because there's the 50-50 chance that I said all this and we sliced the lean and it's just like the best lean we've ever made. Probably not gonna happen, but there's a chance. And then there's also the chance that, it's a little dry and we'll learn together. So let me get this in here. I'll see you guys back in the morning. And yeah, love you guys. Oh, dude, have you got value? If so, give me a subscription. What's up, party people? We are back with our Traeger brisket, and I am stoked. I really am. Not only am I hungry, but well, yeah, I'm just hungry. I'm ready to cut into this thing. I'm very curious to see how it turned out. So we put the brisket on the Traeger, 275 right from the jump. We used 16 mesh ground black pepper and a bunch of brisket booster. We just rolled it at 275 the entire time. It cooked for, if I recall, 7 hours and 15 minutes on the dot. Likely could have pushed that to about 7.5 to 8 hours, if we're being honest. But as we mentioned, for a collective learning lesson, I just decided to call it. We're going to slice it, and we're going to look at the slices through the entire length of the brisket together. And yeah, it'll be good stuff. So let's cut this open and let's see what we're working with. Oh my lordy, guys, that is just beef tallow and beef juice, and that's what you want. Look at that. That isn't a shot. I don't know what is. So I am most intrigued about what's happening on the lean right here. When I temped it, remember it was like 180 something degrees and it just felt firm. It still feels very firm. but our point was telling us it was temping at, I think it was like 203 or somewhere in there. So the point was saying it's done. So we're just going to pull some of these. So let's just look. I'm not going to put beef tallow or anything on it. Just camera woman's going to zoom in on that, and you can check that out. For me, that's just too dry. Personally, that's just for me. It's a little too dry. Fat cap, we trimmed the fat cap down. It's a little under a quarter of an inch after it rendered. Surprisingly well, giving Traeger some credit. It's nice and gold. We got it kind of nice and golden, that kind of caramel-ish color, but it looks good. It feels good, but the lean slices, it's too dry for me. But as far as the tenderness, I think I'm happy with the tenderness. Doesn't take much to pull it apart. So we got our lean. I'll taste that in a second. Let me cut this in half here. See, it already feels more tender right through the middle. And let's pull some of these slices you guys can just see. I'm not even squeezing it. There's a bunch of juice in there. Thanks to our long rest, some of those juices had a lot of time to settle down. And there you go. You can just see kind of the difference. Obviously, that first lean slice has been sitting on the counter for, I don't know, 30 seconds, 60 seconds. But you can just tell the difference in the moisture right off the bat. Moving further from the lean into the brisket, like this slice, it's already retaining more moisture. So we'll save that. We'll eat that in a second. So we faced the boogeyman. We faced the beast, and the beast was the lean. You know, could you chop some of that lean up and put some barbecue sauce on it, slap it on a bun? For sure. But guys, to be honest with you, coming off of a pellet grill, 95% of America is going to be happy with that bite. So let's get into this, the point. Hey, looking like a good point slice. All right, let's look at it. Okay, first off, guys, just look at that. Look at that fan of brisket. I like it. I like it. Okay, let's dissect one of these point slices. All right, guys, so we are packed into a point slice, and it's looking really good. We have some really good structural integrity. And when I say structural integrity, guys, what I mean is that if you overcook a point, the grain of the beef becomes very mushy, and you're not actually able to see the separation between the intermuscular fat and that collagen. Enough talking. Let's eat this freaking... I'm ready to eat this. Yeah. Hey, guys, that's good. I can't even lie to you. I cannot even lie to you. This smile, not only can you not fake this smile, you only get this smile from barbecue. That is freaking good. First Traeger brisket. Wow. Hey, man, that's good. Let's eat this little dry lean piece. And let's see if this was going to have to make the chopped brisket section of the serving table, or if we would be able to serve these. Oh. Yeah, guys. Hey. That is good for real. Oh, come back. There you go. Not bad, huh? Really? So I just fed camera woman 1. I fed her a couple pieces of this brisket, and she had this unique look on her face. And I know what the look is. I'm going to try to explain it. The flavor of this brisket, it's more steaky, if that makes sense. If you cook a brisket on an offset smoker, it has this very unique flavor that you can't get in any other version of culinary, and that flavor comes from the sugars inside of the wood that cooks out and drops down into your brisket. Over 12 to 15 hours, that bark, that fat, it gets sweet, it gets peppery, it's a certain kind of flavor on an offset. What I taste here is very much like a steak. This tastes very steaky. It doesn't taste pot roasty. Pot roasty is if you were to wrap this brisket in foil halfway through, and finish cooking it, that's like a soupy pot roasty flavor. This is not that. This is probably in the middle of that, like a pot roast and a offset smoker brisket. I'm good with that. I'm a steak kind of guy, so I'm good with that. But I just want you guys to know, if you're gonna rip a brisket on a pellet grill and you think you're gonna nail that offset smoker flavor, it's not. I don't think you're totally gonna get there, but that's okay. What you will get is a juicy, tender piece of beef that has a pronounced kind of steak beef flavor, and it's good. It's good to me. Yeah, I'm good with that. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's an honor every time I get to stand in front of this camera and hang out with my barbecue family. From the bottom of my heart, it means the world for all your support. I'm not gonna ask you for a subscription because, as you know, if you've been here, a subscription is earned, not given. So if it's your first time on the channel, don't subscribe, but maybe drop a like. Let the algorithm know that your boy Frisbee is making some of the most fun and entertaining content and helpful content in the barbecue community. As always, Big Frizz, meet and greet, over and out. When mankind discovered fire over 1 million years ago, life changed forever. When I discovered fire, it saved my life. I'm Marcus Frisbee, founder of Meet and Greet, a barbecue lifestyle brand born when life left me no other option but to bet everything on my inner flame.